when I look at the Warriors outside the prism of having to win a title next year, I kind of like it. If you give yourself a little more time instead of making it all or nothing next year, I think the Warriors' future looks a lot brighter that way instead of when we say they gotta win it next year. That's all.
Yeah,
so that's why
I'm not mad at that.
That's why I'm upbeat.
Yeah, and it's got you're upbeat, I'm upbeat, we're upbeat.
Oh, cool.
But that's why the way you sound has a lot of, like, if they just ran it back, that might not be the wrong way to do it. And I know you're like, Goo, if you could move Wiggins, what if they try and they can't? I do get Warrior fans saying, Goo, you ain't got to have a heart transplant. You could do something else. I'm like, okay, I'm here to watch it because I do know and believe, and I know we've done this ad nauseum, I could get 6 or 7 more wins from Draymond not missing those games for that suspension, and that would have put you in the top 6.
I'm not saying run it back. That is not what I'm saying.
Well, you want to move Wiggins, but what if you can't?
Like, here's my thought. Like, do you want Zach LaVine? Do you want Caruso? Could you get a Jeremy Grant? I'm not crazy about him, but DeJounte Murray. Does Clint Capella change the dynamic of this team?
I would love him on the Warriors.
A guy like DeAndre Hunter needs a change of scenery in Atlanta. Could you get Mikal Bridges in Brooklyn? Like, that's Nick Claxton's another guy. Could you do that? Could you use Wiggins for something like that? And those are just I don't love all those players, but
you don't have to deal with the wandering if he's in or not upstairs.
Yeah, and
I get that.
And those guys, a guy like that can change the dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to Derek in Bangkok.
We need proof.
Bangkok, Thailand?
Wow.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
What are you doing out there?
Wow.
I moved back. I normally used to call you guys from Richmond.
Okay.
Wow.
But I'm back in Bangkok. Just living life, man.
Wow. Is there action? There action there?
Yeah, Bangkok.
Yes, sir. It's the ` most appropriately named city on the earth.
Oh, boy.
That's all I can say.
Let's go to Warriors.
But after looking at Minnesota, man, woo, those boys are fire.
Yeah.
LeBron can stay in L.A. because I don't think they would help the Warriors one bit. Because, man, it's time to retool. That's all I can say. I don't know how they're going to beat Minnesota. I really haven't seen.
That's too much.
Yeah. No, I got you.
I mean, there's a lot of good. Man, it's just as Guru said, there's a new sheriff in town. Man.
Yeah.
Everyone thought it was a joke with them getting Rudy Gobert. And they said Rudy made everyone sit back and say, we got to play Big D. And let me tell you, they handled the Joker like he was in grade school the other day.
Yeah, Derek, I appreciate the call.
Yeah, be
hope
careful,
everything's
baby.
good in Bangkok. And series isn't over.
No, I was just going to say that.
Minnesota series is not over.
But you want to know from a Warrior standpoint what's so sobering about that series. If Minnesota wins, the team that they beat owns you. So you got both problems. You know what I mean? Like, I don't
want to think that way.
Yeah, I hear you.
Like, you don't have to beat Minnesota right now.
No.
You don't have to worry about that right now.
So you're saying Operation Playoffs?
I'm in. I like the word Derek used. That's where I'm at. Let's retool a little bit. Let's retool and see if we can get
some
couple guys in here who are maybe 27, 28.
I got you.
Athletic. See what that does. 888-957-9570. I started this by saying it's starting to feel like most Warrior fans don't want to go the Kevin Durant, Paul George, kind of the old guy route.
I wonder if that's because their team's kind of flamed out early, just watching them not, KD got swept. I'm not saying it was all his fault. Paul George had a couple good games, but Steiny, I'm with whatever, man. This can't happen again. Not making the playoffs. And maybe I need to stop. Of course, I want Steph to get number 5 and the Warriors. But I understand what you're saying, but I just can't get over that phone call from Joe Lacob that shocked everybody. Yeah. And I know you don't know. Well, you may because you got his number. But, Steiny, I think if we're calling this man Joey Light Years, what if I were to tell you this is the first time he's really got to prove it?
That'd be,
and technically you don't got to prove anything. You got 4, but you know what I mean.
This is
Kenny. He's a gambler. He's a risk taker.
No,
this is the first most uncomfortable time that we're going to see what route he chooses.
Fair. No doubt, And I don't want to minimize what's happened here for 12 years because it's incredible.
Right.
But where they go next is infinitely harder, than where they were. And winning titles. 888-957-9570 is the number. Bill's in San Jose. What's up, Bill? How you doing, man?
Billy.
Hi, guys. Really agree with Steiny. There's not a pathway to bring an old guy in here and win a title. And retooling with a few guys is also barely going to get you in the playoffs. You've got rising teams behind you. You know, they really have to ask some serious, hard questions, you know. What do you want to do, Steph? Do you want to stay? Because right now, they got value that they can trade, but they won't in a year or two. They won't have that value. But what do they do then? Eventually, they're going to have to face this.
Yeah. Thanks, Bill, for the call. And that's part of my plan. Is we face it we face it this off season, and then we face it next season with Steph.
So in increments,
So what I'm trying to do right now is probably move Wiggins, but if we have to move another guy, we can move another guy, preferably not one of the young guys. You know, can we move a guy for a player or two that fits this team, and we get back into the playoffs as a 6 seed, maybe a 5 seed? Maybe we win a round, and at that point, you go to Steph Curry, who's got 1 more year left in his deal.
And what do you do?
And you say, what do you think, buddy? What do you think? How you feeling about this team? How you feeling about next year? And if he wants to retire a Warrior, done. If he wants to go somewhere else for a better chance to win, then you got to trade him. We're not there yet, though.
And I know we're just throwing names out, but good God, Steiny, when you said Mikal Bridges, and I don't know.
No doubt.
Oh, my God, he would be perfect.
I mean, on paper, he would be perfect.
No, his team didn't make the playoffs either.
Man.
You're right. You're absolutely right. 888-957-9570 is the number.
Let me ask you something about what Evan just said.
Sure.
And, Evan, you answer, too. So you said his team didn't make the playoffs. And I'm just wondering, how much of that, and Kevin Durant's on that too, they got swept. How much of that do you leave at Bridges' doorstep? Is it a team thing? Do we take a step back and really watch how the games played out? Phoenix didn't have a point guard. Like, how much has your view of Mikal Bridges changed, Evan, because his team didn't make the playoffs?
No, I just don't think he's a number one.
All right. That was your.
I mean, he is their number one, and they're not in the postseason.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Evan there.
Although the Timberwolves series, at least the first 2 games, I know that KD got swept, but in a way, I think it almost makes those guys look.
Yeah,
and Durant averaged 30 in the series on a pretty impressive shooting percentage. Devin Booker had a 49-point game against that defense.
Yeah, I saw
impressive.
it, and I told you that, Steiny, about Durant. He showed me he still got it.
No doubt. I mean.
But Bridges would be 2 here if he came to get with a guy like Steph or 2A with.
God, he'd be such a good 2-way player.
Oh, man. And that's what they need.
Cody's in Portland. What's up, Cody? How you doing?
I'm doing well, guys. How are you?
Hey.
Good.
Hey, just want to say, firstly, appreciate you reading my roast on Monday. That was a lot of fun. You guys are good sports.
Thank
you. I absolutely agree with what you're saying. I don't think we should mortgage our future for someone like KD or Paul George. I think that would put us in the hole for the next 10 years. And I think we need to round out our roster with competent 2-way players. You mentioned a couple names. that I'm a big fan of, Bridges, DeJounte Murray. I think having athletic, long, two-way guards who can also handle the ball is going to take a lot of pressure off Steph as he continues to age. I'm looking at, some free agent lists. Nick Claxton, I think, can be gettable. Could you imagine someone like Isaiah Hartenstein if the Knicks don't want to pay him and his energy alongside somebody like Draymond Green and having a combo approach with him and TJD? I think that looks pretty good. And I also like that trade that was floated by Bleacher Report, flipping Wiggins for Malcolm Brogdon and Robert Williams. I think we got to go back to strength in numbers. I think it's got to be, competent two-way players who know what they're doing, who don't necessarily have to prove themselves at this stage in their career. And, I don't think we need to swing big on another number one. We've got our guy. Let's build around him. Let's just get back in the playoffs and see what happens.
Well said, Coach.
2 years, no, good call, Steiny.
Yep.
I wish you'd have told us what he said on the roast.
I can't remember.
2 years ago, I'd have been in on Robert Williams, but he scares me now, Steiny. It's like he can't last the whole season,
That Brogdon scares me a little, but you're going to have to probably take a chance on a guy who's not a perfect player. Just keeping with the positivity, we had Brian Geltzeiler on yesterday of Sirius XM Radio. He thinks the Warriors are fine.
My view of what is important in the league hasn't really changed at all. We look at the regular season and understand it's really important. Here's what I will say regarding the Warriors in that vein. The Warriors are unique, and they're very different than the Lakers, and they're very different than the Suns in this way. They actually have a promising young core of players. Okay, Jonathan Kuminga is going to be a really good player, and they will make an enormous mistake if they trade him. Okay, how many teams started a rookie and made the play-in tournament this year in Brandon Pajewski? Right? Guy looks good. Guy plays multi-positions in the backcourt. He can shoot, he can guard, he can pass. He plays hard all the time. What a revelation Trace Jackson-Davis was. What a nice compliment next to Draymond in the front court, doing all the little things, athletic as hell. Another really good young player. I mean, and I still think there's a future with Moody. My point is this. You don't want to totally panic based upon the results of this year.
Brian Geltzeiler, Sirius XM Radio. Now, if you say that makes a lot of sense, that's what I'm down for. The problem is you're also saying to Steph, probably not going to happen next year.
That's where I'm at.
It's probably going to take longer than that.
And what can he do besides be pissed off? Or do you don't touch the king guys of royalty like that. You don't want to do that.
I mean,
I do wonder, man.
If he realizes, or the Warriors realize there's no pathway to a superstar or to even a star, even an aging star, then what can Curry do? I mean, I'm sure the Warriors will keep him abreast of stuff, but go ahead.
No, I always tell you, the essence of sports is we think we know what's going to happen and we don't. Steve Kerr's first year, they shocked the world and they become Minnesota and they reel off 4 titles. Nobody can say we saw it coming. They got experience under Mark Jackson in the playoffs, and I'll say that for Minnesota. Steiny, there's not how many people really said Minnesota is a threat for the title like they are this year? I kind of felt like, you got your hand up, this was your line, the year before the year, but they haven't won it yet. But here we go. It looks like it's happening. And I say all that to say is, how do we know the Warriors, if they know Draymond suspension, guys mature, Kuminga has an all-star year, Curry's fine, Dre, how do we we think next year's off the table if you try to run it back per se, but we really don't know.
We don't, but I think it's, you think you could run it back and win a title?
Well, I do understand that's the bridge I was trying to get over is the one where Curry would be opposed to that.
I got you.
Where Curry would be like, you know what? Okay, I know what it is. I know we ain't got it all. Like when your parents say, hey, we're on a budget. I ain't got money. You're kind of okay. What can you really do but be somewhat disappointed? But I just tell you, Steiny, I just want a facelift for this offense, and hearing BG They do need a point guard to take that duty out. You know how tiring that is for Steph to bring it up? And it was more difficult this year than ever. So I'm thinking to myself, if you just take that off of the to-do list, how much energy is that going to save them?
No doubt.
You know, something like, man, them young bucks were picking him up, and it's like CYO drill. Over here, I'm going over here. I'm going, like, good God.
I got to make something clear here. I must make something clear here.
I'm looking at Lubman's shark jersey. He ain't a front runner.
I'm sorry. You said, oh boy, who saw the Minnesota Timberwolves?
But for the title,
Guru, you don't remember the show?
Go ahead.
I think it was in December, January. I said, hey, we need to add another team to the championship contender group.
I'm going to give you that.
The Minnesota Timberwolves.
I vaguely remember, but you're in such a good mood.
Evan remembers. Evan, I'm going to punch you. I swear to God.
Boy.
You remember.
Sorry, you're in a good mood today.
Yeah.
I am.
Just don't throw a brick through your radar.
I got to be careful.
What?
We all do. Denver's not dead, but they're on life support. But good God. You get past here, and I think I owe you a soda. It was one game. I thought Dallas has to win tomorrow, but
Mavs are in trouble.
You think, Evan, you picked Dallas with me too. Yesterday you said, I think Dallas wins. You weren't banging your chest, but I said, I felt good. You didn't know it. You said, I think Dallas wins that series, Goop.
I mean, I thought it'd be more competitive than last night.
Well, it was for a bit. That game got away from them, but it ain't over.
Yeah. Dallas is.
Luka's got a little Debo in him. When it's
Luka
going
can
bad,
be guarded.
Yeah.
What?
No, hey, Evan, I ain't going there.
That's the trouble.
He's hurt, Evan.
So is Jamal Murray, but they're down 2-0.
Every time something goes bad for Luka, he's reaching for something. Reminds me of Debo a little bit, Steiny.
What do you mean?
Miss a ball, hit him in the hands, and then he's clutching at something, but he's okay. Gets up, walks off the field, there for the next play. But I've been watching Luka like, dude, he's so dramatic with when it ain't going well. And I got a little Debo in him.
There's a couple good texts here.
Oh, boy.
510 saying, it was a Thursday in December. No wonder Goo doesn't remember.
The roast is over, but that's I'll give you a 3.
Somebody else has a good one. They said,
I didn't go to med school.
Yeah, that was a good one.
I have no patience, E.
Yeah, that was a good one.
We love playing with words on this show.
650's taking exception. Guru saying the Warriors would win another 7 games had Draymond not been suspended is a ridiculous statement.
Out of 22?
Not based on any fact at all. That sounds way high to me.
It's based on their record with Draymond.
No, that's too high.
You really think that's too high?
You really think this is a 53-win team?
Well, they went 14-4. That was their best stretch. So I guess with that, he missed 26 games. Give me a 19-7. Okay, you got to 17-9.
I just don't think you can do that and count.
Wow, that's shocking to me.
7 games?
All right, 5. Then we're 5th, 6th seed.
I mean,
easy.
3 or 4 probably helps. But
so I do get let's try it again.
Let me ask you a question. When you look at next year, what can you count on?
Now that's a excellent question. And before I answer, I want to do something I'm stealing from our guys in the morning. They had a great conversation, Bonte and Spadoni. What's your number one priority this offseason? And I guess that's what I was about to come out.
Well, my number one is a little bit different than I think what most people.
Okay, before I answer, you give me your number one.
My number one would be to move Draymond.
Now that heavy.
Would be let Clay go. That's just going to happen naturally.
But Dre's gone?
And then see if you can move Draymond.
Well, that's the wild card because you could get something. Mine is getting a bona fide, no questions asked, number 2 best player on this team, not named Andrew Wiggins. And if that's just, I'll listen to Trade and commit. We have to get a bona fide. Look at the teams that are playing. They got a Batman and Robin, good or bad. Ours fluctuates. And I don't think that helps bring out the best Steph Curry. I know you're not going to say who's the best.
No, who's like it? who's Anthony Edwards robbing?
Oh, Karl Anthony Towns.
Yeah, they got 4 guys.
It could be Gobert some nights.
Well, that's my point.
It could be McDaniel, Nas Reed.
Right, but when the Warriors were doing that last year, nobody liked it. In terms of getting contributions from different players.
Oh.
All I'm saying is, I mean, I guess if you could get the number, I need to know who the player is.
All right, okay.
But I'm not.
But you are officially done with Andrew Wiggins. The experiment and everything that comes with it, okay.
Yes.
I don't know if I am, man.
I think you could, I don't know what you can get, but I got to believe there's another team out there, and I believe this, that looks at Wiggins and says, he needs a change of scenery.
The Pelicans, what if they were to flip Ingram and somehow you could swap, or I know it would take more than that, but they need that type of guy, Wiggins, on that team. Wow, for Ingram?
I mean, in a crazy way, I could see that. I mean, it felt like the Pelicans found a little something without Ingram. Uh-huh. And then when he came back, and I get it, it was late in the season.
Yeah, it did, though.
You know, the pecking order had changed a little. I mean, Zion's the man down there. Would they be interested in Wiggins for Brandon Ingram or
but that Bones Highland guy, Steiny, I don't know why he's a good player.